In 1936, a man by the name of Harold Mitchell Graham incorporated his own company under the name Graham Manufacturing. For over 80 years, that company has diligently pioneered the advancement of vacuum and heat transfer technology. Operational since 1942 and serving as manufacturing and sales headquarters since the late 70s, Graham's Batavia plant has produced countless products with multiple functions for both commercial and military application. By preaching quality workmanship and engineering know-how, Graham has developed a reputation for being outstanding in the industry of vacuum and heat transfer equipment on a global scale. Graham equipment can be found in chemical plants, oil refineries, power plants, food processing plants, steel mills, and various other process industries. The company's legacy was molded by its two co-founders, Harold M. Graham and Frederick D. Berkeley. The journey began over a century ago. Harold Mitchell Graham was born January 13, 1889, in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, Canada. At just 15 years old, Graham left his home in Nova Scotia to attend McGill University in Montreal. It's at McGill that he studied mechanical engineering, and by 1909, at only 19 years old, he earned his degree. Graham began his illustrious career with the Westinghouse Electric Corporation in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. At Westinghouse, Graham began designing steam jet ejector equipment. The invention of the steam jet ejector at the turn of the 20th century is credited to Sir Charles Parsons of England and Maurice Leblanc of France. Although their achievements were immensely innovative, there was still much to learn about how to most efficiently utilize steam and vapor as motive to create a vacuum without moving parts. Graham's research would unfortunately be put on hold as the First World War swept across Europe. In June of 1917, Harold Graham would enlist in the Canadian military as an engineer, and by early 1918, he would be fighting in Europe. The Royal Canadian Engineers, commonly referred to as sappers, were tasked with creating ways to mobilize troops and advance the line. This entailed digging trenches, building bridges, and an array of other laborious, innovative, and hazardous tasks. During Graham's time serving at the end of the war, the Canadian Expeditionary Force played a significant role in breaking through German lines in France. Their valiant efforts would help force the armistice on the 11th of November, 1918. After the war, Graham continued his career of designing steam jet ejectors. He would return to Pittsburgh once more, but under the Elliott Company, where he would set about working on the design of surface condensers. While Harold Graham resumed his work at the Elliott Company, there was another extraordinary mind paving their own path some 300 miles away. A prolific mechanical engineering student had been performing lab experiments on the transfer of heat at Cornell University. He had developed an acute interest for the design of heat exchangers and how the energy they provide could be applied to mechanical use. That student was Frederick D. Berkeley II. F.D. Berkeley was born in New York City on January 20th, 1901. In the late 1910s, he traveled to Ithaca, New York to attend Cornell University. His time there had a great influence on his aspirations in the industry of heat exchange. After several years of rigorous studies, Berkeley graduated with his mechanical engineering degree in 1923. After his time at Cornell, Berkeley took his prowess to Buffalo, landing a job at the Ross Heater Manufacturing Company. Founded by E. Scott Ross in 1917, the Buffalo-based manufacturer had built quite the name for itself, becoming well known for manufacturing high-quality heat exchange products. Ross's first task for Berkeley was to find an engineer suitable for maintaining and improving their company's already reputable image. Berkeley was referred to an engineer from the Elliott Company who was proficient in engineering of steam jet ejectors and surface condensers. F.D. Berkeley would meet Harold Graham for the first time in 1924, and in 1926, Graham left the Elliott Company to join Berkeley and Ross in Buffalo. During Graham's time at Ross, he would make a major technological breakthrough, creating what is believed to be the first fabricated steel surface condenser. Made of welded steel shells as opposed to cast iron sections, these surface condensers would be the first of many revolutionary inventions credited to Graham. Having become major shareholders in the company, Harold Graham and F.D. Berkeley would develop a close bond as both collaborators and friends. The Ross Heater Manufacturing Company took a major blow in 1929 with the crash of the stock market. Though the company had been incredibly successful in years past and was recognized widely in the field of heat exchange, they could not survive the Great Depression. Scott Ross was forced to sell the company to American Radiator and Standard Sanitary Corporation in 1935. The deal mandated that Scott Ross, F.D. Berkeley, and Harold Graham take a leave of absence from the field of vacuum and heat exchange for no less than 1 year. Berkeley spent that year away with the Vitavar Paint Company in Hoboken, New Jersey, before returning to the vacuum and heat transfer industry with the Lummis Company, helping broaden the company's line of products by incorporating steam jet ejectors and surface condensers. Also returning to the world of vacuum and heat exchange was Harold Graham. Graham had decided to incorporate his own company on March 10, 1936, under the name Graham Manufacturing Corporation. He established manufacturing contracts with several companies for his products before eventually reuniting with Berkeley through a contract with the Lummis Company. The reconnection of the longtime friends fostered the idea of a partnership which culminated in June of 1941 with Graham and Berkeley at the helm of what is Graham Corporation as we know it today. The two would bring in their old friend Scott Ross as a third and equal shareholder. This was short-lived, however, as Ross would retire only 2 years later, selling his shares back to Berkeley and Graham. Shortly after the Graham Corporation was formed, the United States would be thrust into the Second World War after Japan's surprise attack on the Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. With Americans now fighting across both oceans, those on the mainland began working tirelessly to maintain the endless demand for military equipment. Graham's first contract was a massive order of tank seduction heaters for the United States Navy. With the wartime effort now in full swing, government restrictions on materials meant that almost all equipment produced by Graham was for military purposes, which severely limited the manufacturing and sale of commercial products. Originally manufacturing out of a leased plant in Oswego, New York, Graham added the Batavia location in 1942 in an effort to keep up with the ever-growing demand of products. 1942 marked yet another revolutionary accomplishment by Graham, the invention of the Heliflow. The Heliflow heat exchanger was designed and patented by Harold M. Graham himself. To this day, it continues to be extremely serviceable as a heater, cooler, condenser, and vaporizer. Transferring heat up to 40% more efficiently than its straight pipe counterparts, the Heliflow proves to be the golden standard of heat exchangers. With various sizes, a plethora of applications, with unparalleled ease of assembly and disassembly, the Heliflow is in its own league when it comes to heat transfer products. Across his lifetime, Harold Graham would hold several patents, including one joint patent with F.D. Berkeley. Graham's contract with the Lummis Company expired during the war, but along with the condenser and heat manufacturing company, they would spend the rest of the war producing almost exclusively surface condensers and heat exchangers for shipboard applications. Within one typical wartime year, Graham designed, manufactured, and placed well over 3 million square feet of condensing surface in sizes ranging from 500 square feet to 3,100 square feet. Over 10,000 steam jet ejectors had been designed, placed, and were operational by 1944 as well. Graham's industrious production efforts during the Second World War earned the company the Maritime M and Victory Fleet Awards from the U.S. Maritime Commission for outstanding production achievement in the design and manufacturing of heat transfer and vacuum equipment. Following World War II, most government contracts were either cut back or canceled completely. Graham and Berkeley returned their focus to commercial operations and made the Batavia plant its main manufacturing headquarters moving forward. The company continued to manufacture their original line of products, but vastly widened their range of services by introducing steam vacuum refrigerators, barometric condensers, evaporators, and de-aerating heaters. In 1950, F.D. Berkeley's son Frederick D. Berkeley III had graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and began his own career at Graham. For many years, Graham's headquarters resided next to Grand Central Station at 414 Lexington Avenue in New York City. Its offices sat on the 14th floor. Directly across the street sat the Gray Bar Building, the home of the Lummis Company, where Harold Graham and F.D. Berkeley first conceived the idea of their partnership. On July 19, 1956, 30 years after the two co-founders first met, 67-year-old Harold M. Graham died of a heart attack. It was around this time the company moved their sales headquarters to Great Neck, Long Island. The Great Neck sales headquarters would remain operational until the late 70s, when it would finally be relocated to Batavia in an effort to improve and consolidate operations. F.D. Berkeley took over as the sitting president of the company following the loss of his longtime friend and business partner. In the year following Graham's death, the Canadian subsidiary Graham Manufacturing Canada Limited was formed. Half a decade later, on February 12, 1962, Frederick D. Berkeley passed away at the age of 61. His son, Frederick D. Berkeley III, stepped in as chairman of the board of Graham following his father's passing. Graham Corporation hit another milestone in March of 1968 when its first offer of stock was made open to the public. This decision came as a way for the company to bring in additional working capital by removing all stock from the estate of F.D. Berkeley II. In 1969, Graham added a Canadian manufacturing plant in Fort Erie, Ontario, under Graham Manufacturing Canada Limited. Graham would also gain a wholly owned subsidiary in Mexico named Gramex S.A. In the fall of 1970, Graham Process Equipment Limited was formed. This English-based subsidiary primarily handled sales in Great Britain and other European countries. Graham would make their first major acquisition in 1971 when they purchased Heat Transfer Limited out of Cheltenham, England, which specialized in manufacturing shell and tube heat exchangers, surface condensers, and steam jet ejector vacuum equipment. A second English location was purchased in 1973. The plant, located in Abercarn, Wales, offered a product line in Britain that was not offered in the U.S. 1977 saw Graham purchase Precision Pumps Limited in Congleton, Cheshire, England. Then, in 1983, Graham acquired L&A Engineering Equipment Incorporated in Turlock, California, and Therma Technology Incorporated in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hobel Engineering Limited was purchased in 1985. The company specialized in high alloy fabrications like titanium, aluminum, and other nickel alloys. The recession of the 1980s would hammer the industry as a whole, taking a financial toll on many companies, including Graham. A corporate restructure was implemented to help push Graham through this difficult time. In 1986, it was deemed that the outlook for Canadian markets did not justify the need to keep a manufacturing plant, leading to a close of the Fort Erie location. The restructure would also see Graham shift their focus away from manufacturing in Europe in order to maximize profit in a time where demand for products dwindled overseas. In 1987, the demand for equipment began to surge. Increased sales helped turn a corner for Graham, and the company pushed through a period of time of which many other companies in the field did not. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of its employees, Graham was not only able to survive the recession, but had rather displayed the true resilience of the company and its community. By 1988, Graham had returned to a prosperous state, proving their position as a world-leading manufacturer of vacuum and heat transfer technology. Coming out of the recession stronger than ever, Graham won the 1989 Genesee County Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Award, followed by the Global New York Award for Success in International Trade in 1991. Graham would continue to find major success through the 90s, and in 1998, F.D. Berkeley III was elected to the grade of Fellow by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, an achievement that only 2% of its thousands of members had accomplished. On April 20, 1998, Graham's longtime CEO, Frederick D. Berkeley III, passed away. His memory lives on through a commemorative tree planted in his honor in October of 1999 and a plaque that hangs in the company's boardroom alongside his father and Harold M. Graham. All three of their legacies live on through the company as it functions today. The Vacademics course began in April of 2002, helping educate people on the fundamentals of vacuum and heat transfer equipment. Graham continues to implement programs that serve to educate and improve the understanding and quality of our products. The introduction of the partnership with the Arc and Flame program in Rochester sees Graham pay for welding classes, keeping a close eye on each student's performance to ensure every Graham welding prospect is qualified enough to produce the level of quality product that is expected. Graham has always sought to improve every aspect of its operations to provide customers with the highest quality products, and through implementing programs like Vacademics and Arc and Flame, we can ensure that is the case. Today, Graham operates two subsidiaries, Graham Vacuum and Heat Transfer Technologies in Suzhou, China, and Graham India Private Limited in Ahmedabad, India. Domestically, Graham also operates a sales office out of Houston, Texas. In 2021, Graham acquired Barber-Nichols, a company that specializes in designing and building pumps, compressors, turbines, and an array of other products for various applications and industries. Barber-Nichols has been a key asset to the Graham family. The Arvada, Colorado-based company has helped tremendously with the rapid growth of work being done in conjunction with the United States Navy. This growth has seen Graham's production for Navy applications reach the highest point it's been since the Second World War. Graham's most recent addition at the time of making this video is P3 Technologies. Located in Jupiter, Florida, P3 Technologies specializes in the design, research, and manufacturing of rotating machinery. P3's production of high-speed rotors and cryogenic pumps are outstanding in the medical, space, and energy fields. Working alongside P3 and Barber-Nichols has been a gigantic step forward for the Graham Corporation, and the company's future has never been brighter. Graham strives to deliver superior vacuum and heat transfer solutions for a safe, energy-efficient, and sustainable future by building a dynamic company through continuous investment in our people, process, and technology. Graham's mission has been made possible by those who have laid the groundwork for the company as it stands today, and will continue to be possible through the evolution of the company, its perseverance, and the innovation of its employees.